bum, bum, bottom, bum. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Hopeful Romantic M.A.N podcast, and I am your host, Mr. Underscore Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hopeful Romantic, a.k.a. the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. I'm excited about today's show because it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I have a special guest coming on. I hope we can get everything technically sound and fixed on that end so that he can get on here with me. My friend Tyson Garcia. It's a unique blend of somebody who's raised by women, somebody who was raised by a man. So we get a very unique conversation going. And today's conversation is about male vulnerability. In the past, and on the internet, and wherever you go nowadays, when you hear the word male and vulnerability, it's kind of used almost like a dirty word. It's used in exchange with words like weak, feminine, soft, and I've always been a proponent of changing that narrative. I've been a proponent of saying, hey, listen, man, a lot of the people in our past, that the men that we grew up with, a lot of them worked their entire lives. They didn't complain about anything. All right. They just put their head down and they worked. They were epitome of a man, so many of us. And we look at them and we admire them. But then I say to myself, wouldn't it be nice for them to have lived just a little bit longer? Now, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of bad habits people had growing up, health wise and things like that. But I know that one of them had to be their emotional availability. Growing up, I'm sure most of you know, men, you didn't hear about the problems. You didn't hear about the stress. Whenever they went through something, it was quiet. And a lot of the conversation is they don't talk. A lot of the conversation was they didn't share. They were just known to put their head down and do the job. Well, unfortunately, when that happens, a lot of the emotion and a lot of the stress that you carry just gets shoved down into your gut. And you don't get to share and you don't get to talk out your feelings. And in turn, it manifests itself in other areas of your life. You know, unfortunately, that's why a lot of these men, they die early. They died at an early age, man. You know, these guys would work their entire lives, hard labor jobs, bust their ass, work for their family, be just these great men, a man's man, every day, busting their ass in their house, fixing. And then 65 comes around and people are passing away within years of retirement, just a couple of years of retirement. And you have to sit back and you have to ask yourself, what's the common denominator there? What's aside from, again, I'm not trying to sit here and be a doctor. And aside from a lot of what do you call it? Aside from what we talk about, health wise and stuff like that, we're going to talk about this being emotionally available, is being able to share, not carrying this load, not necessarily holding inside these emotions and not sharing, and changing the narrative on if it's considered feminine or masculine. I always say, for a man, vulnerability equals love. We can talk to any woman, we can communicate with any woman, but there's only one special woman in our life at a time that gets the vulnerability. She gets to see the darkness. I always say, love my darkness, my light is easy to love. You don't give that darkness to just anyone. A lot of times when you'll be watching on the internet or you'll be watching these shows in the manosphere, which is necessary. I don't knock it. I actually love a lot of the stuff that I watch. I'm for it. I'm not against it at all. There's a lot of stuff that's necessary. You know what I'm saying? Some people may call it toxic, but I say it's necessary to keep a balance in the universe. But a lot of times what you'll see is men that were once vulnerable with a woman. They were vulnerable. They did let their guard down. And instead of the woman embracing that vulnerability, She basically looked at them and said, "Yo, man up. I don't like the way this makes me feel. I don't really embrace your vulnerability." So what does the man do? The man shuts down. He literally shuts down and says, "Okay, cool. That is not attractive to women or to this woman that I fell in love with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove that vulnerability way down the back of things that I could use. That's no longer a priority to me. It's going way in the back, and now I'm going to develop this macho, this tough, this hyper masculine demeanor. All right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to develop this hyper masculine demeanor. Here's what I say: the role a woman plays in a man's life, right, is determined that day. The day he realizes, can I be vulnerable or can I not be vulnerable with her? Why is that important? When you say I'm being vulnerable with you, that means you get to see the true face. I get to take the mask off. That face that the world sees, I get to take it off. I get to show you the real me, the scared little boy, the insecurities. Yeah, I know sometimes it sucks to get dumped on, but that's what you get. It's a poorly wrapped compliment. You get to see that side of me. And when you get to see that side of me, here's what I'm going to say. You now become my escape from this cold world. You become my escape. By becoming my escape, right, you become my peace, my area of peace. So when you hear men say, oh, she has to be my peace, that's what they're telling you, ladies. They're telling you, you need to be my escape. You can't be another battle. You can't be another fight. You can't be another argument. You have to be my peace. Now, being his peace does not mean being soft and pink. It does not mean that you just are taking whatever he gives you. That's not what that means. It means that when in his moments of weakness, you understand what makes him tick. You give him the space necessary to resolve some of the issues. You give him the love and the tenderness necessary to let him know that he's not alone. And then you kick him in the ass. And you tell him, yo, let's go. All right, that's enough. See, it's not, oh, woe is me. I have a chapter in my book called Sensitive, Not Soft. What do I mean by that? Sensitive is I look around and I see how my actions and my emotions and how I affect the people around me. And what I do is I make sure that my actions don't hurt the people around me, that I'm on point. Soft is when you're in that woe is me, my life sucks, I'm the worst, I can't do it, da 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 da. Now here's the thing. Every man has those moments. Every man has those moments. Every man has those moments where you have that weakness and you have that doubt, right? And what you need in those moments is that woman that's going to say, hey, I see you. I see that darkness. Come on, let's work this out together. Not, oh my God, I'm turned off by this. Not, oh my God, you need to man up. Not, oh my God, this is bullshit. You know, I didn't sign up for this. No. When you do that, right? When a woman doesn't react well to a man's vulnerability, she literally takes herself out of the girlfriend box or long-term relationship box. She does that. She literally takes herself out of that box. And when she does that, unfortunately, it's almost impossible to get back in. Now, I'm going to take a pause for a second because I'm going to bring on my guest. Now, we don't have, for those of you that are watching, we're not going to have, he's not going to have the video, but he's definitely going to have the audio. And I'm going to invite him on because I want him to, I want people to hear his point of view. And there's a couple of topics that we're going to cover today. He's a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. We're going to talk about this road from being a boy to a man. And, some of the patches that we've gone through, some of the things that we've learned. I want to know what he would say to himself if he had a chance to talk to a young guy. He's one of the most fascinating people I know. He's super bright in a very unique way, man. This guy's a thinker, and anybody who knows him knows what I'm talking about when I say this. He thinks in a very unique way, but that's why I enjoy talking to him, because he's always going to see things from a different angle. He's always going to point out the not so obvious point. You know what I mean? And he's going to put you onto a situation where you're like, wow, I didn't see things that way. Now, I also like talking to him because he's a guy. I'm a very laid back, softer, chill type of person. He's definitely more in the mold of a masculine man, tough. He's gonna talk that shit to you. So I'm really excited, ladies and gentlemen. I want to bring on my guy, Tyson Garcia. Ty, you there, man?
What's up, man? You hear me?
We hear you loud and clear, bro. Don't even
Yeah,
worry
man.
about this,
Sorry,
man. We
yeah,
got
my
you.
camera is freak. I'm on my phone right now.
It's all good, brother. Don't even sweat it. Don't sweat it. We got the audio, and that way when we put you up on Spotify, our iTunes, Amazon, everybody can still listen to what we got to say, man. Because
Yeah.
like I said, I think it's an important conversation, and the reason I like to talk to you is because we're not necessarily cut from the same cloth. I take one approach, you take another approach. But what I like about it is that number one, I respect you, you respect me, and we understand that there are different routes to masculinity. There's a different way to
Absolutely.
be a man. You know what I'm saying? You can carry yourself in one way, carry yourself in another, but at the end of the day, it's how you represent your family, what kind of father you are, and there's like the meat and potatoes stays the same. Stays the same. So that's why I really enjoy talking to you. So I wanted to bring you on, man. One of the topics we're going to start off with, right, is male vulnerability, right? I don't know if you were listening before, but what I was just talking about how it has a real negative connotation, man.
Here we go.
There we go. Okay, cool. Let me shut you down over here. Let me put you on over here. Okay, shut it down on your other platform.
Yeah.
Shut down the other phone. Yeah, there you go. Once you shut that one down, the echo and everything will go away.
There we go.
Perfect, my man.
Woo!
Awesome.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here, bro.
I'm
Thank you
glad to
so
have
much
you,
for
bro. I'm
having me
glad to have
again.
you, man. I'm glad to have you, bro. We're definitely like I said, man, we're gonna be talking about it's an interesting topic, man, because a lot of people, let me just make sure I do this real quick. A lot of people nowadays, it's like it's I don't want to call it a new topic, but it's kind of trending where I'm trying to change a narrative, right? There's a narrative that there's a pussification going on of America. I
Yeah.
agree with that. There is. There's a softness coming out about America and the way we approach things, right? But then there's another half of something that I want to talk about, and it's amongst men. And the reason I like to talk about this amongst men is because I know too many guys, right? And this is like fucking heartbreaking, man. But I know too many guys that have either a tried to take their life or literally taken their life because they felt like they had nobody to go to, bro, and nobody to talk to. And I don't think this day and age, right, that with all the technology that's out there, that it's a big deal if I reach out to my boy and I'm like, yo, man, I ain't doing good, bro. I'm stressed. You
Mhm.
feel me? Or I'm going through it right now. You know, I want to know what are your opinions? I know as somebody who I know you're like a self motivated guy, bro. Like I know whenever I talk to you, I know that you're not one of those people that's gonna lull your feelings. You're gonna make it happen. You're gonna do it. But have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're like completely stressed out? And if you are, and if you have, where do you go? What do you do? How do you cope with it?
Man, good question, but yeah, I mean, a lot. Like, my mind races a million miles an hour since I was a kid until now. I'm gonna be 45 years old, and that, yeah, there was a lot of times that I thought, I couldn't go to anybody, like friends, family. A lot of times I just didn't want to. I didn't want to give the burden to people, other people, my burdens. It's supposed to be, Tyson, you figure it out. But, through friends and loved ones, like, people do come and check on you. Hey man, how you doing? I'll get like a text like at 2 in the morning, 7 in the morning, like good friends of mine. Hey, what's up, buddy? I was just thinking about you. What's going on? Everything good? Just little kind words like that. My lady would tell me, just like, my daughter, my brothers and sisters. So it's a good network for me now. But a lot of times, I couldn't, and I didn't want to. And
Isn't it a
I would,
world of difference?
know what I would do too. What would be crazy is you will go and I'll go hang out, I'll go drink, or I'll go and just other things, man. Because you know what, man, like sometimes I'm like people can't understand what I'm going through. So when I try to explain it, sometimes the way I explain it, people can't get it. They're like, okay, or they don't, or it's maybe it could be overwhelming for them. So
I
they don't
find
know
that
what words to me to say to me because they know how I am, and they're like, oh, well, what do we say to him? This guy, this guy's stressed out, really? I'm like,
yeah.
absolutely, all the time, a lot of times.
Isn't it always? I always say check on your friends that look like they're doing okay. Check
Yeah,
on those guys too, man, because too often the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So a lot of times when we see people doing are down or they type something on Facebook or you'll reach out to those people.
yeah,
But there's a lot of people that are typing, yo, everything's great, man, sending out positive vibe, life is amazing. And behind that keyboard, yo, they're fucking crying every single day, bro. Or they're stressed out or their wife is cheating on them. All kinds of wild shit. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So I always say check on everybody, man. Just and like you just said, you'll be surprised how far a yo, what's up, man? You good? That's it. I got in the habit a while ago, man, and I it was after having like some friends of mine like over the years that had passed away, man, that I was just like, fuck, why didn't I talk to them more, bro? Why didn't I reach out? And you're like, you know what? You grow up, life happens, it's nobody's fault. But in the head, when that happens, you start to think you're like, yo, what does it cost me, man? I'm on my phone 24/7 as it is, bro.
Yeah.
What does it cost me to send a yo, you good? That's it. You good.
Yeah.
And how many times, and so that's what I was doing there for a while. For a while, randomly, I'd pick up my phone, yo, and I'm dead ass serious when I tell you this 30, 40, just copy paste. Yo, you good? Yo, you good? You good? And yo, I don't know how many times I could tell you, Tyson, that I got back. Yo, bro, thank you, man. Yo, you have no idea, bro. Like you don't know where my head was at right now in this
Yeah.
moment. And you're like, oh shit, bro, like for real. And they're like, man, yo, and they give you their story. Now here's the thing, man. What I learned is everybody has a story, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Tyson, everybody. As soon as you think, yo, my shit is crazy, my shit is wild, I'm a believer, yo, that God gives you what you can handle. He gives you what you can handle because, like, okay, people look at me and they're like, yo, Mike, you've been through mad shit with your health, bro. Yo, you fucked up this, da da da, and you go through this, you go through that. Holy shit, I could never do that, right? But then I'll look at somebody, right, and I'll
Uh,
be like, yo, that guy doesn't talk to his brothers and sisters, man. Yo, how could he live like that? To me, that I couldn't get. I don't understand. You feel me? Like that to me is too much. Like, how do you not talk to your family? That to me is a burden I can't handle. Meanwhile, my health wise, I deal with it. It just is what it is, bro. I roll with the punches, keep it moving, and I'm still successful. I still do what I got to do. You feel me? But now, if I didn't have my family around, if I didn't have my close, friend, that's different to me. That's a burden I don't think I can handle. That would stress me the fuck out. So it's so weird to me how and that's the other thing. We got to learn to do this, right? We can't look at the next man or the next. Let's we're going to concentrate on men. We can't look at the next man, and because his burden doesn't fit our narrative,
yeah.
miss him. You feel me? Like so, sometimes you'll meet a guy, right? And his stress is that he wasn't able to buy this car. He had to settle for this car, right? And some of us look at him like, damn, dog, really? That's what you're stressing about? I got people that can't eat. But what we don't realize is that in his world, whatever world that is, that stress is enough to get him going. You know what I'm saying? And you never know how people are going to react to that stress. So I don't dismiss it anymore. Now, even though I'm not going to be like, I may not be the most sensitive person about it, because
Yeah.
after all, it's not like no crazy shit, but I will at least listen and hear
Yeah,
him
and
out
also
and be like,
too is like
okay,
also to have like a little compassion for it. Like everybody, every man is different. So there's trials and tribulations. We don't know what's going on. Maybe he wanted this car. He saved up for it, but you know what? He had to do something else, or he had bills to pay. He had something, a lot of other things that are going on that we don't have no idea because you don't. always get the whole full story. Like when someone's breaking something down for you, like they're giving you like just like the gist of it, like the blueprint of the outline of it. We don't really know. So then like when you dismiss it, you get that shitty feeling too when you dismiss like that person on how they're feeling, So
Absolutely.
it's always, to be, mindful. And when you sit down, you have these conversations like with these people. Like there's friends of mine that all stress in different, areas of their life. We sit down, we conversate over text, but even though it's even better, go the extra mile and make a phone call. That's what a lot of
That
people
phone
don't do
call.
anymore. A lot of people, they could you're calling them, but they won't pick up, but they could text. Like, and for me, I find that like, see, that's dismissing somebody. Like, oh, call that person if you guys are friends, like you said you are, right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you pick up the phone and have a conversation? Everybody has time. You can make time. So when people are like, oh, I don't have time, I don't. People are full of shit. It's just that you're not in that pecking order for them at that point in time.
You and I have something in common, man. I've seen it just over the years talking to you and the way you post about it. So I know it's a source of pride and joy. And I want to talk about being a girl dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that we first, let me start here. And I don't know if this happens to you, but there's times, and it doesn't happen a lot, but there's times in my life raising my daughter that there's been things that keep me up at night. Things that like I wish, okay, make sure I this is what I did I teach her this? Did I make sure this is instilled in her? You know what I'm saying? Like when she gets confronted with drugs, you know what I'm saying? When somebody comes around her with drugs, did I do this right? You know what I'm saying? When a boy comes at her with some dumb shit, you know what I'm saying? Is she gonna be able to handle herself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If she does she see things coming? Have I taught her enough of the game that she sees things coming in advance? There's a lot of shit that I stress about. And then on top of that, I try to give her all the tools. Like I don't treat her different than I would have treated a boy. I am
Absolutely.
sweeter. I'm much nicer.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact that I would have been with a son because I'm
Yeah.
so softer with her. But as when it comes to like teaching her how to play chess, poker, fucking just rules to football, all this shit, I do it. Part of it is ego driven because I don't want some kid to be able to come and teach her anything. I want her to
Yeah.
already know, like how to handle a gun. Nah, let me show you here. This is how you do it,
Absolutely.
and this is how you load, and this is how you unload. So nobody can come and be like, "Oh, let me show her and sweep her off her feet because he showed her some bullshit trick." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? What do you call it? What's your approach when it comes to dealing with your daughter? Like I said, I know you're a girl dad, and I know you're up and down with your baby. So, what is your approach? How do you? What are the things that you want to instill in her coming up?
Well, I have two daughters. I have a 17-year-old and 11-year-old.
Look at
No,
that.
it's
There you
just,
go.
well, like again, like with my 11-year-old, it's consistency. Like I'm on her, like with house chores, with school stuff. Even going on the internet and stuff. Like she, hates it and gets a little attitude. But I'm like, that's as a parent, that's what you have to do. And I'm not a single dad, so it's me and the mom together that we raise it
Yeah,
together to the best of our ability. So every day, yes, parents are always gonna worry. Oh man, like, did I do this right? Did I do no? But you have to think in your brain like, yo, we raised her right. We're raising her correctly, the right
right.
way, the best that we can. We can't control what's outside of the household.
That's the thing.
So that comes down like to decisions that our daughters are gonna make, and hopefully it's the right ones that they know what's right and what's wrong, what to do, what not to do. They they're still gonna be kids and still do mischievous shit. That's what kids do. But then there's a point to where's the pushing the boundaries. For me, I'm all about school and stuff, and like she has activities and stuff. She's very smart, very intuitive. Like she does a lot, but my main focus is this is what it is, consistency. Because when me and her mom are not here anymore, and when she gets older, she has to put that consistency in her life, like that to everyday things, every like work, whether you go to school, whether you got a CEO or whether you're a janitor or whatever you do, just be consistent at what you're gonna do and be mindful about who's around you because not everybody's gonna be your friend. Because I told her, she's like, oh, I got like 5 best friends, whatever. See, when we
Yeah.
were young, growing up, we were like, oh yeah, so and so's my best friend, so and so. Now, at our age, right, our mid 40s, you could maybe count on your head like who are really, really your good
Right.
friends.
Who's there? Who counts? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like who's really there? Because everybody's fun when you're down to go chill and party, but when you at your low, who's really there? You see what I'm saying?
Who's
So
gonna
then I
check
try
on
to,
you and be like, "Are you okay?" Who's
yes,
that
see
person?
that's what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
try to
exactly.
instill, in your kids, and hopefully, we're gonna be it's gonna do a good job. Like I can't say hopefully. I said yes, it will be. Me and her mom, I think we do a great job together because we both parents her. She has her way, I have my way, and we
Yes.
come together collectively, and we raise our daughter like that.
That's. I have a very similar situation when it comes to that, man. Like me and her, like what I've been able to develop is a great conversation with her,
Hmm.
right? Where and I got this. I thank my sisters for this because they're the ones that put it in my head and said, "Hey, Mike, you got to make sure that you talk to her.
Yeah.
Never stop talking to her
Hmm.
because what happens is when we were children, we were to be seen and not heard. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And we had a lot of anxiety and we had a lot of shit on our brain and a lot of stuff was presented in front of us and we didn't know. We didn't have that leg up, that advantage because there was a lot of times where I'll never forget, man. I'll give you the conversation I had with her about drugs.
Hmm.
I believed that whole shit about peer pressure. Let me tell you
Hmm.
something, Tyson, right? I've never fucking been in a room in my life where I turned down a blunt and somebody didn't look at me and go, good, more for me. Never.
Hmm.
Right? So that whole bullshit about, come on, man, all your friends are doing it. What are you, a chicken? No, I'm not a chicken. All that bullshit to me is out the fucking window, bro. It's bullshit. Now,
Yeah.
does it happen in terms of peer pressure? It happens, but in a way like it's never like direct like that. It always kind of happens where the group is kind of doing something and everybody's moving in that kind of direction,
Yeah.
right? And I've always found myself to be a person that I never felt for that. I never was with it. So when I talk to her, I even let's say the marijuana conversation. Marijuana is one of those drugs that because I've worked with at-risk youth, and I've watched a lot of shit go down where kids, between when it was super illegal to now the legalization, all right. And I have my thoughts on that. I don't believe in marijuana being illegal. I think it should be a legal drug. I've watched the effects. I see how kids have dealt with it. Trust me, it's not. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
So when I talk to her about it, I don't demonize shit.
Hmm.
When I look at her and I say, that's just not our thing. Nah, babe, I like being in control. That's not my thing. Not, oh, those people are horrible. Those people are terrible. Because you know what that ends up doing, man, to me at least? It ended up making me real curious. Like what? The bad people do that? Like the people on the edge do that? The cool people? Like who's that? Like I want to be,
Yeah.
especially when you're raised right and you're like a straight laced kid. You don't really get in no trouble. That kind of looks a little bit appealing. That little danger. That little let me
Yeah.
find out. Let me see what's up.
See,
You know what I mean?
that's the mischievous part. That's what that comes out when they're like, hmm.
Right. So I'm like, let's see if we could possibly at least take the edge off of it and be like, oh, that's just not, it's not really like, yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't, it's not a big deal. It's just not that cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like try to, and it's funny because what I do like about her is that she's a lot like myself and like her mom.
Mhm.
More like her mom, thank God. But a lot like me as well, where I was a late bloomer as it is.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
it comes to like a lot of the bullshit, I didn't get involved in any of that stuff till like, I didn't even experiment with anything till I got to college. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, a lot of drugs and stuff like that, weed and
Yeah.
shit. So I'm hoping that with her, she's the same way. Her mom has always been very straight laced, never into any of that shit. So hopefully that's the route she takes, which is cool. But yeah, these conversations, man, again, then you talk sex. And it's like you have to, there's like I always tell my daughter this, man, because like I said, I've worked with kids my whole life. I always tell her, Maya, if you ever come to me, I'll give you my professional answer first, and then I'll give you my dad answer. But you're
Hmm.
gonna get my dad answer. You're gonna get
Absolutely.
that answer I cannot hide. Because that's the emotional answer that I'm gonna give you, right?
Absolutely.
So she comes to me and we talk. And part of it is, I don't maybe I'm wrong on this one, but part of my approach to even talking to her about sex is that be aware of who's having sex early. pay attention to who around you's having sex early, man. And she's like, I go, and then look at their homes and what's going on behind those closed doors. Just to take a good look at what's going on those closed doors. You know, where the attention is coming from. Are they getting needs met, or is it a comfortable environment? I kind of let her know that there's more to it, that people just don't have sex that early just to have it. A lot of times there's. I'm not talking about boys. I'm talking about girls. Because
Yeah.
boys, we can get it whatever, whenever. But girls, it's like there's usually a lot going on behind those doors, that household door. You know what I'm saying? For a girl to step out in that to that to use that as an avenue. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Which is sex. Now, when a girl is content and happy and things are going well in the home and she's whatever, that's almost like a delayed. That stuff gets delayed a little bit. I hope. I don't know. I could be wrong. Go ahead, Ty. You were
No,
saying?
no. I'm saying is, bro, I get it, man. You're gonna get the dad answer. For me, I start with the dad. My first three answers gonna be dad answer, dad answer, dad answer.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just how it is. Like, well, with me, like, yeah, it's gonna be. It comes in conversation here and there, but like I put it in a way. It's just like I'm just more like, hey, worry about school. All that extra curricular activity stuff is unimportant right now. I like you'll understand every other year as you get older. I let you know. I'll divulge a little bit more and more information about certain things. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, again, is you're a child, so therefore, for with me is like yes, a child does have to know their place because when grown folks are having these conversations, you shouldn't be in the thick of it, chilling. Like
Absolutely.
again, like when we were kids, like hey, go with the other kids. There's no need for you to be
Right. Get
because
out of the room. Go over there.
what we're
Yeah.
talking about, and then it thinks that you can be part of that, and you can't be because you know what your brain
Absorbing.
can't comprehend what we're talking about.
There's context to these conversations that you're
Absolutely,
not available to, that you don't really understand as a kid. So you're listening to it and you're absorbing it in a different way. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I get what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
I
it comes in conversation here and there, and and I just tell her, then her mother talks to her too, and then she's like, all right, she understands. I mean, again, kids are curious, so I just always tell her, come to me or come to your mom if you have questions. Or I'm just more like, because now, like, she's in sixth grade, my youngest daughter. So now now you're going to school with seventh and eighth grade boys. Because remember, when we were growing up, it was kindergarten to eighth grade. So
yeah,
she
yeah,
was
yeah.
in grammar school. Now she's in middle school. So
Okay,
now
so
she
now
has
it's
that
all
3 years. So now you have the eighth grade boys, sixth grade girls,
mm-hmm.
and then maybe nowadays, like they say some outlandish stuff. And, just later. And I said, if you don't like something, you say it. You tell them, you tell your teacher, whatever the case may be, you come back, you tell me. I'll like, don't worry about you not getting in trouble because if it's something that's inappropriate, don't worry about it, daddy. Mommy and daddy will handle it.
Absolutely.
I was like, but
Absolutely. That's
you have
that's
to,
that's the battle.
yeah, but you're the source. But so if you don't like something, you say it immediately. Hey, don't talk to me like that. Don't address me like that. No, whatever the case may be. And then we'll go. Then you know what? Then we'll come to your parents, and then we'll take it from there.
And I think that's what's important.
Yeah,
That's an important conversation to have with your children, to let them know that they're protected. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Let them know that,
absolutely.
hey, listen, you're gonna come to me and I will protect you. You know what I mean? Too often, remember our kids are just of they have access to so much more information than we had.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like we had to go look through the squiggly lines to watch porn. You remember that
yeah,
shit? You know what
yeah.
I'm
The
saying? We had to
Starcom,
rewind and all
the
kinds of weird
Starcom, the
shit.
AB
It's
button, the
baby,
AB button, and
and
it
make
was
sure
looking.
you saw.
It was
I think I
like
saw a
that. The
nipple.
Spice
You're
Channel.
like, yo, is that a
Yeah, yeah,
nipple?
of course.
I don't know, something, right?
The little
But you're
brown
like,
box.
exactly. And you're looking at it like, yo, whatever. And now it's a flick of a phone. It's like everything's in
Yep.
their hand. You know what I mean? So these conversations, they have to be had, and they have to be had in such a way where they understand that, hey, look, your feelings are perfectly normal, but what you also have to understand is, like you said, you're a kid, and there's a process. There's stages to life, and you'll be able to enjoy any of that at some point. But right
Absolutely.
now, we need you to, like you said, concentrate on school, pay attention, but also make them aware of these kids that are gonna be, like you said, um, they're gonna be coming out with outlandish shit. They're gonna be saying, you know what I mean? And then we can't, like I said, we can't protect them. The only thing we could do is give them the tools for their emotional toolbox to make sure that they can combat some of the nonsense that they're gonna get coming their way.
Yeah.
Some of the jokes, some of the fucking what do you call it? Some of the some of the pressures that are gonna come their way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, being a girl dad is dope. I remember, when we were younger, girls got treated different.
Mm-hmm.
Now I try to do. Let me ask you about this. Here's something that I try to instill in my daughter, man. My daughter is really bright. Thank God. She came out like her mom. She's a sharp, sharp young girl, man. She's gonna go far in life. But part of me always still teaches her, hey, you need to know how to cook. You need to know how to handle a household. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how successful. Here's why, Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I do it is because I do a lot of relationship advising.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many of the women that I deal with, that I talk to on a daily basis, have resumes that will blow me and you out of the water. Yo, talking about a couple 100,000 a year, beautiful houses, all this
Mm-hmm.
shit, da da da. And they're like, you know what they're sitting there talking to me about? Mike, why can't I find a man? And you're like, huh? They're like, why can't I find a man? And I'm like, well, you know, you prioritize certain things, which is nothing wrong. Hey, look, at the end of the day, whatever your goals are in life, that's your goals. But you got to understand the math. And if you
Yeah.
prioritize this, the pool shrinks from the men that you can start to pick from. And then
Yeah.
what you're looking for is not necessarily like the shit just is off, whatever. So I have to explain. So one of the things I tell my daughter is like, hey, listen, baby, she's into this thing where she wants to go to medical school when she gets to a certain age. She wants to be like Uncle Shmoo and them. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love it.
It's awesome. That.
You know? Yeah, I'm like, I love it. Do it, man. But I even tell her, I'm like, hey, listen, ma, when you get to 26, 27 years old, I'm not saying stop your life and try to find love. Be open to love.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh
Be
yeah.
open to it.
Absolutely.
That's it. Just be open to
Yeah.
it. Don't close yourself down so trapped in a career and in life that you shut yourself down to anything else. Be open to love. Meanwhile, if it comes to your way, if you meet somebody that's worth it, explore it. Why? Because I know unfortunately, too many women that, they hit a certain age. And here's why. It's not that it's bad. It's that you're not afforded a mistake. You'll get a woman she decided, no, I got to get this doctorate degree and I got to get this business going and blah blah blah, and now she's 32, 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She meets this dude. She's in love with him. He's great. He's fucking amazing. He's the shit. They're in a 5, 6 year relationship. He turns out to be a piece of shit.
Okay.
Now she's 37, 38 years old, and now she has to start over. You know what I'm saying? And now she still wants a family. So now it's like, okay, I'm 38, 39. Now I got to meet somebody, develop something, possibly. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, now I'm in my 40s and shit like that. And it gets crazy because, again, the fucking, the pot starts to shrink
Yeah.
amongst people that, especially as you go up in the ladder. So my whole thing is I try to teach her, hey, man. And I think that there's a lot of mothers out there that do that. They want to make sure that their daughter knows how to cook. They want to make sure that they knows how to clean. And I hear a lot of women like they get into arguments with their mom because their mom calls them fat. Oh, you better lose weight. You're fat. Da, 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 da. A lot of times what their mother's telling them is you're not gonna be able to keep a husband. You know what I'm saying? That's what she's really calling them. You're not calling them fat. She's telling you you're not gonna be able to keep a husband. And as many negatives as there is attached to that, and I know a lot of trauma that women go through. I'll be honest with you, bro, some of the most balanced women I've ever met are the ones that know how to run a household as a woman, like that have that maternal, nurturing part of them, and are a fucking boss bitch when they're at work.
Yeah.
I know women that do
So
both.
so for the question for you is, so shouldn't that be something that her your daughter's mother should be teaching her?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like to
yeah,
because yes, because you could say what you like, what you would like in a woman for her to be,
yeah.
a wife material, cooking and cleaning or doing whatever, running the household, right? So that's the mother's role to do that. But
Yeah, her
some
mother,
other
that's the beauty of it. Her mother that's the embodiment. That's who she is. The woman is
okay,
a boss chick at the same time, is like the most nurturing person you will ever meet in your life. So you look at her, you're like, if she came out like her mom, I'd be very, very happy. I'd be very,
You
very
know,
happy.
see,
That'd be
then you
great.
know what?
That'd be great.
As long as she's giving jewels too, like I get what you're saying, but also too, that's a lot of the mom's responsibility because again, us men, we like when a woman is like, "Oh, this is how a man's supposed to be." Like, how would you know what a man is
Yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to be?
exactly. Like, how
Like,
would you
you're
know?
not
It's
a
true.
man. Like, I can't tell a woman how she. I can say what I like to be in a woman, but I can't tell you this is how a woman's supposed to be.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely right.
I mean, because that I mean, I don't know. None of us are women. Women can't even define women. So,
All right.
you-
All right, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on.
yeah,
Appreciate that conversation, man. Always, especially when we're able to talk about, our
yeah.
children. It's been a long road, man, from being boys to men, man. I've known you for 20 some odd years, even longer than that, bro. Red
Probably
Raider
since
days,
like
Eagles, Cowboys,
87,
80s, 87. Jesus
87, yeah.
Christ. We know each other for a long, long time, man. And we've seen that road from a boy to a man. So I'm gonna ask you a series of questions, right?
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you if you could talk to a young self? And I'm going to give you different ages, and I want you to give those kids, those young guys, advice.
Yeah.
Uh, eighth grade Tyson Garcia. If you could sit down at a table with him, what would you say to him?
Eighth grade Tyson Garcia, what would I say to him? Um, be more patient. Be more patient and try to and understand yourself a little bit more. You know, take some time for yourself because again, like I've told you, and I don't know if we're gonna talk about it or not. That like again,
Yep.
when I was in grammar school, no, I was in special ed,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought down on myself a lot. Like, oh man, like I'm a dummy. Like, damn it. So then I didn't give myself time to like really build myself up, and just be like, it's not that you're dumb. It's just that you just have like a learning disability that it just takes a little bit more time for you. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I'm a really smart person, but again, there's certain things that I could comprehend. There's
Tyson,
other things
our
I
our
couldn't.
educational system, our
Well, the educational
educational system is
system
broken. It's
back
broken.
then, the educational system was
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like, yo, just this kid, man. Whatever. They
well,
had no
yeah,
diagnosis for
but
anything.
also too is that comes into being hyperactive, and then also too like I was a little bit behind the curve, whatever. But I would say give myself time because then I did blossom as I was getting older, But then also thanks to a lot of my friends who are very knowledgeable, who helped me out with a lot of stuff, got me thinking, just reading different books, my good friend, Chris Orellana, he gave me a lot of game too.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, man. Yeah, my good friend, Gary, Devin, my band Jimmy. There's so many people that are good friends of mine that gave me some game and that they understood what it was. And that,
Here's the deal,
you
man.
know,
Like I said, bro, I've worked with, I've had the privilege and the honor of working with kids from the street
yeah.
for the last 20 some odd years, man.
So that to
Yeah,
answer that in a whole nutshell, it would be
yeah.
be patient and give yourself time.
Be patient and
That
give
was
yourself
yeah
time.
because I was like then I was like I don't care whatever fuck this fuck that and then I didn't really sit because I didn't really understand because it wasn't explained to me back then. So when I
Hold
was
on.
riding the school bus, I was thinking I'm a window lick, I'm retarded, but it wasn't even like that. So you good? Mike, Mike, can't hear you.
How about now?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Go
There
ahead.
you go. I'm back. All right. Yeah, no, man. What do you call it? What I was gonna say was, yeah, I've had the privilege of working with kids from all over, man. And what I realized, our educational system is broken, bro. And let me tell you something, Tyson. You've always, even to this day. That's why when I was introducing you, I've always known you as a unique thinker. I never associated your name with dumb from when we were kids. It was always Tyson's gonna say shit the way nobody else says it, right? And what I found was, if you judge a fish by the way he climbs a fucking tree, that fish will always grow up thinking stupid. You understand what I'm saying? And it's
Mhm.
just not that. It's just that you were not in the fucking fishbowl that you should have
Yeah,
been in. You know what I'm saying? And the educational system wasn't catered to how you learned and the way you learned. And who knows where you could have ended up had it been. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I know things have changed and things have evolved. And now there are more earlier diagnoses of different things and learning disorders or whatever. So who knows where you know what I'm saying? But at the
yeah,
end of the day, at the end of the day, the great thing to learn about that is that you did you grew into yourself and you understood. But that's gonna we're
yeah.
gonna we're gonna get to that. Let me ask you, okay, Tyson Garcia at age 17, 17-year-old Tyson Garcia, you get to sit and have a conversation with that young man. What are you
Man,
saying?
you know what? You know what, man? Work harder in school. Uh, focus, especially even more like with the whole football thing and everything like that. So I wish I would have took myself more seriously with a lot more things because I didn't. I was always joking around in high school, and it just happened to be I was a good football player, but I didn't put the work really ethic into it. I didn't put the work ethic into it that I should have. I wasn't really lifting weights like that. I wasn't really like I didn't have that Kobe mentality like to just go because I know for me, and I know I could have went to the league. I know I could have,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
but I was just it was just one of those things. I mean, I don't go back and like, damn man, I regret. It's just if I could sit down with myself, I'm like, yo, work a little bit harder. Work a little bit harder on yourself. Don't worry about everything that's going around in life. Worry about yourself. And a lot through high school, I didn't do that. And 17-year-old Tyson, I was like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
You just don't know.
that's
It's
me.
like you don't know what you don't know. And you look back now and you're like, this little bit of information would have made all the difference in the world for me right now. You know what I'm saying? You're
Absolutely.
like, I would have just, like you said, I would have been in the gym a little more. I would have done this. I would have had these options to me. And yeah, you're right. You don't go back and change anything. I always say, man, there's times in my life, I think I got it from like a Drake song. There's things I would like to go back to, but not to change, just to kind
Yeah.
of feel it twice. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of go through it again and understand, like, yo, what was my thinking back then? You know what I mean? All right,
Yeah.
so check this out, man. You talked to Tyson a couple years ago. You talked to Tyson as a kid.
Yeah.
Let's do this. One last one. You get to ask Tyson 15 years from now a question. What are you asking him? What's a
Are you
question you
happy?
could ask? Are you
The
happy?
steps that you took, like for 15 years from now, bro, are you happy? Are you happy with the progress that you made since with the trials and tribulations that you went through? And then are you happy to where you are? Are you happy to, where your kids are? Are you happy, in your relationship? Are you happy with the job you have? So 15 years later, I'll be like in my 50s, late 50s.
Hmm.
No, 60. So
Yep.
at 60 years old, were you happy? Was it worth it? Was the risk worth the reward? Am
Great
I going to be
question.
better off in 15 years than I am right now? Or am I going to be worse? I mean, you know, so when I'll come back on a podcast and when I'm 60 and I'll let you know.
Absolutely. No, let me tell you something, bro. That is a profound and it's a great question. Are you
Yeah.
happy? Because at the end of the day, that's what matters, man. That's what matters. What are we happy? And one last question.
Yeah.
Tyson is in the casket.
Yeah.
His daughter is at his side. His friends and family are at his side.
Yeah.
What do you want them to say about Tyson?
Uh, no, I want them to be, honest. Be honest. And it's not what I want them to say, it's how they feel. You say how you feel. Like, I don't want the whole spiel, say what's on your mind. Like, yo, yeah, he was an asshole, but you know what? He was a good asshole. And you know what? And he was real and he was loving when he wanted to be. He was nurturing when he wanted to be. He was a great friend. He was loyal. I want people to say how they feel. If that's how you feel and that's how you really feel, I'm happy with that.
So
And
that question, right?
that's what friends and family.
Yeah, no, you're right. That question, right, comes from a book called "Living with the End in Sight." All right,
Yeah,
it's a program question that says, Tyson, the day you pass away, right, you picture
yeah,
the people around you, and you can, you can get them to say what you would like them to say, but you have to start living that way today. In other
yeah,
words, if the day you pass away, what you want your daughter to look and say, "This is the greatest man I've ever known. He was the
yes,
fucking greatest man I've ever known. Nobody's gonna ever, my dad taught me, and he was the best thing ever." How do you have to live? You have to live like the greatest man she's ever known, like the best dad ever. If you
yeah,
want your best friends to say, "Yo, Tyson was honest. He was amazing. Yo, he was a stand-up fucking guy," that means you have to live from today forward
hmm
as a fucking stand-up guy, because you can dictate what people say about you the day you die, but you have to live that way now. You can't.
No, that's very true.
Yeah,
But then some of it people are just gonna say like what they
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
say
Of
too.
course, of course.
So for me, I'm not here to like try to change anybody's say opinions about me. Or I mean, I've never really cared. Like I know a lot of people don't like me. A lot of people love me. Is there a gray area with me? Yeah, but I mean, does it really matter to me as I'm older now? Does it affect me? I'm like, no. I'm not living for them. I'm living for me, and my family, and to do right by them. Because I mean, they're not putting food on my table. You know what I'm saying? They're not helping me with with trials and tribulations in my life. So people, I can't get upset of things I can't control. So if I'm in the ground already, I'm not hearing you. I'm gone already. As long as my kids are doing better than I was living, and my
Right.
ladies doing better than I was living, and my friends are doing awesome, I'm looking down on them like, yo, that's what it is. That's what it's about.
That is what it's about, bro. At the end of the day, that's our legacy, bro. Our legacy is what the smiles on the souls that we leave behind, bro. Um, Tyson, man, I want to say thank you, bro. Thank you. You know, I knew you were gonna say some profound shit. I knew it. I knew having this conversation with you. That's why when we were talking about the lead up and just thinking about things to talk about, I was like, I'd like to hear his perspective, because you're to me, you're a bright guy, bro. You're a fucking bright guy, bro. I enjoy talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
enjoy talking
Appreciate
to you. You always have a very unique perspective. Um, like I said, man, it's enlightening, and I like that you don't hesitate. You're gonna give me your opinion off the rip, bro. And I would love to have you back again. Whenever we'll set it
Oh
up
yeah,
again
no, yeah,
sometime in the
definitely,
future.
absolutely, absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure, man, when we speak on air or off air.
Yeah, yeah, my guy. All right, I'm gonna
It's
throw
always
you
a
into the
pleasure talking to you,
background.
Mike. You're very super smart guy. Well,
Appreciate it. I'm gonna put you in the back of the studio, and then I'm gonna close out the show, and I'll
Oh,
come
okay,
back
yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
yeah, no problem.
All right, brother.
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna holler
bro.
at you.
Love
No
you,
doubt,
man.
brother.
Peace out, man. Good work.
Peace. Thanks. No
All right.
doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got a little insight, man. Two guys just kicking and talking, being honest with each other. Um, about true things that we go through, man. Whether it's fatherhood, whether it's in life. We didn't really touch on relationships and things like that, and the things that we go through. But if you got something from it, I hope you got that. You know, we're able to talk to each other. Man, don't you have friends that are gonna listen, man? Gone are the days where somebody would you would try to be sensitive or emotional, and they would hit you with some kind of homophobic slur. Oh, you're acting. Oh, you're being. No, we're past that, man. I hope that we are. And if we're not, I'm here to change that narrative. Yo, guys, you're not alone, man. If you're stressing, you're going through shit, you have stuff on your mind, bro. Your boy Mike Nav is here, man. Don't hesitate to reach out to me on social media. Hit me up, talk to me. I'll always take a minute to talk, bro. I'm not in a rush. I'm gonna hear you out. And yo, no problem is too small. No problem. It's too big. I'm going to listen. You're going to have a non-judgmental ear. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hopeful Romantic M.A.N. podcast. I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hopeful Romantic, a.k.a. the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. They say the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for helping me walk in my why. And with that, you have a good night. Take it easy, people.